The finals has reached a point in its life where slang and common terminology has already developed. I realize when I say something like plug, rollout, or stagger, not everyone knows what this means. I'm going to cover a lot of the terminology in this video along with some basics for callouts that pertain to gadgets and team play in general. Hopefully this will help when watching streams, videos, or if you're trying to elevate your own communication in the game. So let's talk everything cache related from the start and cover the basics. There's the vault. This is the first step in the cache out process. After the vault opens, we have the cache box, and where we insert the cache box is called a cache out station. If we activate a vault, this is called a tap. Inserting a cache box into a cache out station is called a plug. A pretty simple one is referred to as setup. This simply refers to how you set up your defenses after plugging a cache box. This would include stuff like placing a C4, knocking over the cache out station, setting up mines, turrets, placing barrels around the station, anything that is kind of specific to setting up your defenses after plugging. Now, something specific to know during the setup phase is called cache out manipulation. This might be referred to as something specifically that you are doing with it, but this refers to moving the station or knocking it over, basically putting it in a more advantageous position to defend from. This would typically be in the form of winching or throwing gas barrels, and sometimes other barrels or objects at the station to knock it over, or getting it outside of the room. This gets referred to as many things and typically pertain to the method of manipulation, such as winching, knocking, etc. You can also use goo to block the movement of cache out on moving platforms. When plugging a cache box into the cache out station, the time at which we do this is often referred to as different things, such as an early plug. This is very important for setting up the tempo of a match, as we can then fight for the other vault to get both plugs, or we can just be able to defend the first cache out that we already set up. If we plug at the same time as another cache out, this is called a split or an even split. You typically will want to do this when playing for both cache outs seems unrealistic. This might be comp dependent, or my general rule of thumb is if the station is over 200 meters away, then just go for a split and just play your own. But if your team has some insane mobility, you can also play for both. It's kind of going to be up to your discretion. Now, the next method I think is very important. When cache outs are about 45 to 60 seconds off, this would be indicated by just about before halfway. This is what we call a stagger. This is the most common method you will see in higher elo, especially for the first stations, as this allows us to play for both cache out stations, effectively giving us 2 chances at a cache out. It also helps us stay active in the fights to rack up more money for each kill that we get during the third parties that we're going to be inevitably bouncing back and forth to. This is why loadouts that provide mobility, such as zipline and jump pad on medium, or a gateway on light, is extremely crucial for these early cache outs. This method, as the games go on, can become less and less effective depending on your team's placement, but that will come with time to learn when each method is best. And last, we have a more self-explanatory cache out type known as double up, which simply refers to plugging both cache boxes in the same station. Very good to know near the end of the game. If you have the lead, you could simply secure your victory with a double up. If you manage to get a double up early on in the game and secure it, you basically have secured your victory. A more risky approach, but a much higher reward. If you and your team need to practice their parties, this is also a great way to force those fights in order to practice. Now that we've covered cache-related terminology, let's get some gadgets and team-related terminology covered. Keep in mind, most comms related to the gadgets with common terminology are only pertaining to the meta picks at the moment, so this list could be expanded. There are some terminologies I know outside of the meta, and I'm sure in the future, depending on which metas arise, a lot of gadgets will also be shortened, such as dome or bubble instead of dome shield. The first you might hear at the beginning of each round is a rollout. This refers to the movement abilities to get your team around the map. This would be in the form of a jump pad, zipline, gateway, or in combination of 3 or just 2, but this just refers to the path you and your team take to get around the map faster. On the note of jump pad, we have another term called slant pad. This simply means placing your jump pad at an angle. This could be done on goo grenades, and this would be called a goo pad. The angle allows you to use the jump pad in a more horizontal direction rather than just going straight up, which is ideal when you're trying to cross the map much faster. To finish up with medium gadgets specifically, we have the sweep. I'm coining this term considering I'm the one who discovered this back in season 1. The method is to place APS on an object, then throw this object at a placed explosive or item such as C4. This will remove them as if they were thrown at the APS. This is very good for removing setups done by enemy teams. Now for defending cash outs, we have a very important terminology that pertains to your setup phase called drop. Playing for the drop is crucial in high elo play. This involves using a C4 typically, but there are methods such as a breach charge, the thermal bore, RPG, or in rare cases, using 2 explosive mines. The idea of this tactic is to blow up your explosives when the enemy is stealing to stall the steal itself, and then to have good initiation on your following fight. This only works when the cache-out is on a floor that can be dropped. A more rare terminology that pertains to the goo gun is known as the cocoon. This refers to the goo gun being used to cover the cache-out. Comboed with the anti-grav, you can cocoon cache-outs to the roof. For the light, we have something unfortunately not used as often as it should, and this is known as the gate bomb. Basically, this involves placing a gateway often near or above the cache-out, then using anything to benefit from the gateway. This could be shooting an RPG, throwing grenades, using vanish bomb before entering the portal, or having your entire team push through at the same time. If you are simply just using the gateway far up in the air and dropping down, this is known as a dive bomb. Some more obvious ones could be combining 2 gadgets together, such as pad RPG, which implies jumping on a jump pad, then use your RPG midair, or a gate pad where you throw one gateway way up in the air, and then you throw another gateway at a position just above a jump pad. You hit the jump pad, then use gateway while you're flying through it in order to essentially use a jump pad way up in the air. The most important terminology to remember is subscribe. Press the button below to subscribe to my YouTube for instant wins. Now let's cover some map specific callouts. I'm not going to cover the entire map in every callout. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. For this, I'm just going to explain some common communications that might be on multiple maps for jump pads placed on the map. We have a few names. This could be map pad, mega pad, big pad, etc., etc. There's plenty of viable options here, and I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but these are the main 3 that I hear. For zip lines on the map that cover a very large distance, we refer to these as god zips. When playing for cache-out, a very obvious one is above or below, and these can be added onto with numbers to imply how many floors above or below we're going to be playing. Sometimes we may play for 2 drops or to play 2 floors above, depending on what setup we have. Now I'm hoping these cover a lot of the basics for any of those that are new to the game, and for those that have been watching streams and higher elo plays and might be getting confused on what people are talking about. Feel free to add any terminology that you use as well into the comments. Thank you to all my members. Now some words to remember. I roll out to revolt the tap. A friend is here for the double up. They dome on my cocoon till I cash out, and I will see you in the finals. You know, when I made the thing to, like, you know, you guys can pick my loadout with redeem thing, I genuinely thought I was going to get more people being like, oh, can you just try it with my build? But it, like 9 out of 10 times.
Now they just try to fuck you over.
Always I'm trying to fuck me over.
It's Pink stealing that shit. I'm just gonna go in. Fuck it. Wait, can't get in on that side. Purple's here again.
Y'all need to prime time somebody.
Orange.
The Boundless have been rattled. Team wiped.
Big prime time.
Orange has both of these? The fuck?
Striking a chord of triumph, the high notes just stole the cash out.
Look, he ran right in front of you.
Yeah, I jumped over.
They'll be looking to remind the fans of their infinite talent.
Nice kill.